problems. That guy, he just has to touch you once.
Shit's going down.
He's so different than anybody else in the division. Like, he knocks everybody out. Everybody hits hard. They all hit hard.
But
that
shit
fucking
down.
dude hits hard.
That Jake Paul can come 15, 20% in regards to Anthony Joshua. He's a completely different specimen. Look, you'll see what it looks like when they stand next to each other.
Joe Rogan recently shared his thoughts on Anthony Joshua's intense new training clips ahead of the rumored matchup with Jake Paul, and his reaction was crystal clear. After seeing leaked footage of Joshua firing off sharp combinations and drilling with top-level trainers, Rogan described the former heavyweight champion as a dangerous problem for anyone. He suggested that Jake Paul might finally be facing a challenge he can't escape with confidence or promotion alone. With Joshua appearing sharper, stronger, and more focused than he has in years, Rogan hinted that if this fight happens, it could end quickly and not in Jake's favor.
Need to get stronger.
The upcoming Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua matchup is set to be a fully sanctioned professional heavyweight contest under standard Queensberry rules. The fight is scheduled for 8 rounds of 3 minutes each, with both fighters required to use 10-ounce gloves. To keep the bout within competitive limits, Joshua must come in at or below 245 pounds at the official weigh-in. The result, win or loss, will be added directly to both fighters' professional records. This isn't an exhibition. It's the real thing.
This is going on people's records. AJ got to take him serious because this isn't some exhibition. We're running out some judges to act like there's a decision and someone won. No, someone's going to win, someone's going to lose here. It's 8 rounds, 3-minute rounds. Again, heavyweight, pro bout, 10-ounce gloves. AJ talking about breaking internets over faces. I think he meant to say breaking his face on the internet. Who knows? Maybe you can do both in the big 2025. But then you have the weight limit, 245 pounds, and people are automatically going to go, oh, God, here's the thing. Oh, here's the thing in the contract. No, stop all that. And I'm going to go on a rant in a second for all the people that thought this was fake, for all the people that thought that Jake wouldn't do this, for all the people that thought he was scared. I'm going to go on that rant in a second. But, okay, yes, 245 is a weird number because Jake has already fought at heavyweight. He fought Mike Tyson at 220-something. But again, I understand it a little bit. We're on short notice here. You don't want to have a Tyson Fury type situation, which AJ would never be 290 coming in here. But 260, 270, it starts to get out of the realm of possibility of, like, what are we doing here? Even though heavyweight has no limit.
Nisa Badarian, CEO of Most Valuable Promotions, MVP, and one of the key figures behind Jake Paul's career, told Sky Sports that the December 19th showdown with Anthony Joshua is shaping up to be a major global event. He acknowledged Joshua's deeper boxing experience, but suggested that Paul's unshakable self-belief could be the wild card that changes everything. Badarian described the fight as a symbolic clash of eras and said the MVP team moved quickly to finalize the deal, compressing negotiations and planning into a surprisingly short period. He also confirmed that strict weight requirements and full professional rules are in place to ensure the bout is a legitimate, high-stakes contest rather than a spectacle. Badarian further claimed that this matchup is far less one-sided than Joshua's previous fight with Francis Ngannou. While Ngannou had size and power, he lacked refined boxing experience, making that fight more imbalanced. In contrast, Badarian argued that Jake Paul has been developing rapidly, gaining enough skill, structure, and ring IQ to make the Joshua bout a more competitive challenge.
Will there be a limit for Joshua?
So there's a lot of discussion around the weight. Joshua fought Usyk twice. Both of those times, Usyk was 221 pounds. Joshua was 240 to 245. When Jake fought Mike Tyson last year, 227 pounds. I expect Jake will come in anywhere between 225 and 230, and Anthony Joshua has a weight limit of 245 pounds.
There will be those, as you're aware, that will look at it and criticise this fight. There already have been, haven't there? They'll say it's a real mismatch. What would you say to them? Are we going to be watching sport at its purest?
I would say it's much less of a mismatch than what you saw with AJ and Francis Ngannou, who a massive man, but relatively no boxing experience. I would say it's much less of a mismatch than AJ's 9th or 10th fight against guys who've been knocked out 20 to 25 times. Given AJ's pedigree, Jake is built for this. Jake is built for the big moments. So do I think it's dangerous for Jake Paul? Absolutely. Do I think it's also dangerous for Anthony Joshua?
According to several fight analysts, Jake Paul is taking an enormous gamble by agreeing to face Anthony Joshua. Former cruiserweight champion Lawrence Oakley cautioned that Joshua's size, strength, and punching power could turn the matchup into a serious physical danger for Paul. Likewise, two-time world champion David Benavidez stated outright that Paul is stepping into a dangerous setup, pointing to Joshua's deep experience at the highest levels of the sport.
100% respect to Jake Paul, but that's a dangerous fight for him. He probably gets knocked out, and I'm not trying to be a hater. I'm not saying nothing bad, but Anthony Joshua is Anthony Joshua. You know, he's multiple-time champion, Olympic gold medalist. You know what I mean? The last time somebody stepped in the ring with him that didn't have that much boxing experience was Ngannou, and you've seen what happened to him. But big respects to Jake Paul. It's gonna be a good card. You know what I mean? It's a big fight, and it's a good fight, man. I give 100% respect to Jake Paul for even taking that fight.
The Ring 4, November 22nd. Watch only on DAZN.
Carl Froch has openly criticized Anthony Joshua's choice to accept a fight with Jake Paul, suggesting that Joshua may be cashing out at this stage of his career. Froch claims that after earning massive paydays and achieving championship status, Joshua now appears more driven by financial incentive than legacy. With his accomplishments already secured and little left to prove in the traditional boxing landscape, Froch believes Joshua is opting for an easier, high-reward crossover matchup rather than chasing tougher, legacy-defining challenges.
So we've got to consider, is AJ cashing out? Well, I did say a year ago when he got splattered by Daniel Dubois that he's finished now. He won't get that confidence back. He's not had any confidence, you know, in his head. No belief for a long time, and I don't think he can get back to world level. There's a couple of new young guns now coming up and coming through. It's like a changing of the guard, and when Usyk retires, I don't know what Daniel Dubois is going to do next, but what Daniel Dubois did to him, then he went on and lost to Usyk. But there's a few new heavyweights coming through, Moses Atalma, just to mention one, and you wouldn't start putting AJ in with any of these young up-and-comers that can punch hard, because I just don't think he's got the chance, because the ambition and the desire is going to be gone. So AJ most definitely is cashing out, and you can't fault him. Fair play to him. He's going to get a massive payday, maximise his exit route by fighting fake.
Some boxing fans believe Jake Paul has a real chance against Anthony Joshua, and they're putting their hopes on his punching power. Despite beginning his career as a YouTuber, Paul has demonstrated legitimate knockout strength, dropping several opponents with clean, heavy shots. Even Tyson Fury recently suggested that Paul could potentially stop Joshua, pointing to Paul's increasing size and power as he settles into heavyweight. Paul, for his part, continues to argue that Joshua's chin is vulnerable and insists that one perfectly timed punch could end the fight early.
I think it's a possibility. No one is backing Jake Paul currently. You've seen him in the ring. You can see that he's got some knockout power. And I also believe people don't look at Joshua's last few fights. And I don't think it's going to be as big of a landslide as people feel. I feel like there's an overhand right that could easily land, and I wouldn't predict that Joshua's chin can last that. The problem is that all of the pressure's on Joshua at the moment. So Jake Paul, if he gets knocked out in 12 seconds, he should get knocked out. The problem is, as soon as Joshua starts taking damage, all of a sudden he's thinking, the world is watching me, I'm a professional fighter, and I'm getting beat off a YouTuber. All of the pressure is on Joshua, and that's a lot that can weigh on a man. You can't deny that Jake Paul has power. I think it's one of his only attributes. I think he's a very poor boxer, but what he does have is a weird technique where you don't know what
he's got power. How do we know he's got power?
He's knocked people out. Joshua has all of the world looking at him thinking you should walk him over. If it gets 2 rounds, 3 rounds inside, I think Joshua loses.
Many fans are framing this fight as a classic David versus Goliath scenario. Jake Paul, who rose to fame through social media and built his boxing resume in the lower weight classes, is stepping up against Anthony Joshua, a towering, battle-tested heavyweight with championship credentials and a major physical edge. With Joshua's size, power, and experience making him the clear favorite, Paul enters as the underdog, relying on determination, self-belief, and sheer grit to close the gap.
Can't judge Anthony Joshua for getting the bag, as the kids say, for going to wherever the fight's going to take place and taking $92 million for going up against Jake Paul, right? You can't give him for that. You can't judge him for that. But don't try and tell me that this is a real professional boxing contest. I'm saying my guess is that this will be an exhibition matchup. And if it is, it'll be one hell of a show. And I'll certainly tune in. And fair play to both men because they're making an absolute goddamn killing. But what is going on? Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. It's a lose-lose for Joshua. It's a win-win for Jake.
One major concern surrounding Anthony Joshua's fight with Jake Paul is his limited activity over the past 2 years. After a split decision loss to Alexander Usyk in 2022, Joshua's schedule has been sporadic. He returned to the ring with a win over Robert Helenius in August 2023, followed by a victory against Otto Wallin in December 2023, and most recently knocked out Francis Ngannou in March 2024.
Anthony Joshua his activity. He's only fought twice in 2 years. And one of them, he got knocked out off Daniel Dubois. That was his last fight. And a lot of people say you can only judge a fighter's quality from their last fight. And then the fight before that was a win, but it was a win against Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou, if you know, he was the UFC heavyweight who's not a real boxer. And he only had one fight before that boxing fight, what he lost as well. So that's his activity in boxing. Now, Jake Paul, on the other hand, looking at his box rec, he's had 6 fights since 2023. And one of them was against Mike Tyson. But we all seen what happened in that fight. Mike Tyson was well past his prime. Where Anthony Joshua, on the other hand, is, well, I'm not going to say he's coming into his prime because he had some great wins earlier on in his career before he lost to Usyk twice. And by the way, when he did lose to Usyk, the last one was a split decision. It was a pretty close fight. So now this fight is matched. And I just want to look at the tail of the tape. Now, looking at the age difference, we've got 28 years old compared to 36 years old. So I guess the advantage there goes a little bit towards Jake Paul. 28-year-old is better than a 36-year-old. But that being said, we've got talking about experience and everything else, what comes with being 36 years old at Anthony Joshua's level. And then, like I mentioned, the heavyweights kind of seem to prime a little bit older. Now, come down to the height and the weight. This is the big one. 6'1" versus 6'6". 200 pound versus 252 pound. We got a 252 pounder in Anthony Joshua. The reach advantage is a lot, which we would expect. Amateur fights, we can see that Jake's only had one, where AJ's had 43, but 43 of them are included at the highest level, Olympic level. And yes, he won the Olympic bloody gold medal, if I don't need to remind you. Now, the pro record, Jake Paul has had 13 fights, lost 1. AJ has had 28 fights and he's lost 4.
David Hay has issued a stark warning ahead of the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul fight, calling it a clear mismatch. Speaking to Sky News, the former heavyweight champion said Joshua has the potential to cause serious harm to Paul and expressed concern for the YouTuber turned boxer safety. Hay even suggested the fight could be life-threatening for Paul if he underestimates Joshua's size, power, and experience. There is a significant physical gap between the two fighters. Joshua stands 6 feet 6 inches with an 82-inch reach and usually weighs between 240 to 250 pounds, though he will be capped at 245 pounds for this bout. Paul, who spent much of his career as a cruiserweight, has bulked up to around 227 pounds for his previous heavyweight fights and stands 6 feet 1 inch with a 76-inch reach. This difference in size and weight gives Joshua a notable advantage in both reach and punching power.
Pounds potentially. Are you confident it'll happen?
I wasn't confident when I first heard about it. It sounds like one of those fairy tale fights that people talk about but don't actually get over the line. I heard this 3-4 months ago. I just dismissed it. I heard it a week ago. I went along with it, but deep down I thought this isn't going to happen. And today it's been made official. Jake Paul is going to get in a ring in a boxing match, boxing gloves, to mix it with one of the most dangerous heavyweights on the planet. Someone who is Olympic gold medalist, won the heavyweight championship twice. Although he lost his last fight against a very good Daniel Dubois, he's a top 10 heavyweight on the planet versus internet sensation, someone who's a latecomer to boxing and has boxed at a very moderate level. I'm talking domestic level, and he lost to Tommy Fury, for instance. And Tommy Fury, who he lost to, versus Anthony Joshua, they're two completely different sports. So I commend Jake Paul for putting himself in harm's way, because boxing is a dangerous game. People have died in the ring. People have been seriously injured, maimed. And he believes in himself enough to do it on a massive scale, because it's not about the money. He's got enough money. This is him wanting to push the boundaries of reality. He's manifested an amazing life for himself. He's a superstar, and I think he wants to try and do the unthinkable. He wants to. It's an insane challenge he's put himself up for, but you've got to give him credit.
You say an insane challenge. You've described it before as Jake Paul being a cat versus Anthony Joshua's lion.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not equally matched on any sense, are they?
There's not one element of their boxing skill set that Jake Paul can come 15-20% in regards to Anthony Joshua. He's a completely different specimen. Look, you'll see what it looks like when they start.
Anthony Joshua is taking a significant gamble by agreeing to face Jake Paul. For many experts, the concern isn't just what might happen in the ring, but how it could impact his legacy. Former heavyweight Dave Allen warned that even a single clean shot from Paul could tarnish everything Joshua has built in his career. Some critics argue the fight is motivated purely by money. Promoter Eddie Hearn defended the decision, stating, "You can't eat legacy." There's growing worry that Joshua could trade part of his hard-earned reputation for a massive payday, and if things go wrong, he risks being remembered more for a cash grab than for his accomplishments in the ring.
A lot of boxing fans will think this is a massive stain on his career and a bit of an embarrassment. Now, you two have done it. I'm sure you would both fight Jake Paul tomorrow, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but we're both retired. And we'll be looking at it saying, still an easy fight because he can't box, he's useless. So it's risk reward, minimum risk, massive reward. So of course we'd fight Jamie.
No, but you say that, it's a big risk, Carl. Big risk.
I'm not having that.
Big risk. If you don't go and annihilate him in the first 30 seconds,
yeah, it's fixed.
Can you right, it's fixed. Oh, he's pulling him round.
Yeah.
He's talking about me fighting him though. So would you think that was fixed if I didn't go and annihilate him? 11 years retired. I think that's the point George makes. He always has a little dig and says,
no, but
say
you go out there and it's a tough fight for you. You can say, well, what would you expect? I haven't boxed for 11 years. But then it's like, it's hard, isn't it? It's hard. Do you want that?
Nobody thinks any less.
You've got the best ending.
Yeah, I've got
to your career.
Definitely.
So,
nobody thinks any less of Mike Tyson because he